Hello and a very good morning. I'm in Grindleford this morning, or near the Padley to be precise, and I'm doing a couple of videos looking at the history and just having a look at the Derwent and Howden Dams in the Peak District. It's quite famous dams, famous in a dam buster story. Now, we're a few miles away from the dams, over in that direction, over to our west. But the reason that we're starting here is because we're just underneath the site of what was the Bole Hill Quarry. And the Bole Hill Quarry is where all the stone for those two immense dams was quarried. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, it'd mean the world to me if you'd hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notifications when I upload new videos. So just before we get on the incline, just a little bit of background and history about this place. So around the turn of the 20th century, 1901 I think it was, the Derwent Valley Water Board, that we now know as Severn Trent Water, proposed plans, or had plans passed, to build two new large reservoirs in the Derwent Valley, and that's what we know now as Howden and Derwent Reservoir. Ladybower didn't come till quite a few years later. So in 1901, the Water Board purchased some land just outside Grindleford, what was called Bole Hill Quarry. And over the next sort of 8 to 10 years or so, 1.2 million tons of sort of gritstone was quarried from there. So I think the quarry lasted till about sort of 1910, and all the equipment was removed by 1914. So we're going to have a look at the quarry as it is today, have a little bit of look at what's sort of left behind, a couple of things up there, and we're also going to just explore how they actually got the stone from that quarry up to the building sites where they're building the two dams, which I don't know, is it about 5 miles or so just up the valley from here. So what they did, the railway, the quarry was around 400 feet above the railway below, above what's now the Hope Valley line. So the stone was brought down from the quarry on a kind of a rope railway, down quite a significant steep banking that we'll see in a short while, and it was loaded onto kind of normal trains taken up the valley, and then it was loaded onto another railway that we'll look at in another video, that was then sort of shipped up the valley toward the two dams. So let's have a gander at the Hope Valley. So we've got a map here. I'll circle Grindleford at the bottom there. That little spur that you can see going off to the north, that's the quarry that we're going to look at today. We can then see the journey that the rock would take up to Bamford, and then it would jump onto that purpley pink line there, and go all the way up to the foot of the dams that were being built. So I'm starting down on the side of what was the Midland Railway. So it's what is now known as the Hope Valley line. This is the main line between Sheffield and Manchester, and look, we've still got the old sidings down on the side of the main line, and you can see there's a set of points there going off as well, and a buffer stop. Now we're right at the point where the Bole Hill Quarry line, the sidings went off just through the cutting on the left hand side. So I've just put an arrow to the bridge that we've just been stood on, so we can see the sidings that we've just been looking at and that buffer stop, and we can see where the line sort of branches off towards the cutting. Because this is where the incline started. Look at this, we've got some bridge abutments, and I can just about make out like an iron lentil beam as well. So there's the railway just through there. So there's the cutting from on top of what would have been the bridge. Look at those stone walls. And the other side of the lane, this would be where the incline starts. So look at that straight up there. We've got a little culvert down there as well. I don't know if you can see. Little brick tunnel way, but I don't think we're going to get down there. So look at this fantastic old photograph of a steam engine at the bottom of the incline. It's clear to see the severity of the gradient from this photo. So I was just trying to figure out where this was in relation to that bridge that we've just been stood on, and you can just see at the bottom there, there's the shadow, so it looks like they're actually stood underneath that bridge, which is now filled in. So we've got this alternate path that just sort of goes up just to the right hand side of the old cutting. Let's just see if we can get another vantage point just from over here. So yeah, 400 feet between the railway at the bottom and the quarry at the top. So as usual, this probably won't come out on film, just how steep this incline is. But I believe that the gradient was 1 in 3. And there's the back end of Padley Chapel. It's a really steep incline. A lot of panting going off. So the path's actually joining the main incline now. Look at how steep that is. And that's looking back down through the cutting. So as you can imagine, health and safety in those days wasn't what it was today. It sounded like a horrific place to work, reading some of the accounts. Stories of people being crushed, runaway trucks down the incline, etc. You can, I mean, it's very, you don't really read of any Victorian age railway projects without reading of sort of death and incident. Unfortunately, back in those days, it was a perilous job. Right, I've caught my breath, I've had a minute. That was a hell of a climb up there. So let's just have a look back down from the top. It's amazing to think whoever designed this thought that would be a good place for a train line. So I've got a bit of a sweat on now. That was some climb. Sun's beating down as well. I've had to lose the coat. I wish I had shorts on. So steam trains or engines didn't use the incline. The way they got the wagons up and down, so they're loaded sort of 20-30 ton stones at the top and sent them down in wagons down on a pulley rope system. So as one wagon went down fully laden, it kind of brought wagons back up to the top on the adjacent line. So we've still got the stone, these are the stone plinths that the drum wheels attached to. And I believe these was what would have kind of pulled up wagons and act as a brake for the ones going down as well. So it's really starting to feel like a quarry now. Obviously nature's done a really good job at reclaiming this, but you can see the size of the rock faces. And I believe the biggest ones are yet to come, just a little further up. Our first millstone. So that image of the millstones is obviously what makes the Peak District famous. That's their symbol, and it was the nature of the stone in the area that made that such a good material. And the quarry was already in use for centuries before before it was purposed for the dams to make millstones. But I believe it was in decline because of the competition of kind of cheaper imports really from other countries. So we're on a bit of a plateau now. So at its peak there was just under 450 people working at the quarry, which is quite a large sort of amount of people for a small area. So some of them lived down at the bottom in Grindleford, in don't know what you sort of describe as tin huts, as a kind of temporary shanty town. But I know a lot of the workers were kind of shipped in on trains from Sheffield every day as well. So you might be asking yourself, what about the third dam in the Derwent Valley? So Ladybower Dam, that arrived around 1935. Construction began on that. But obviously that dam's slightly different. That's an earth dam. So the stone from this quarry wasn't used to construct Ladybower Dam. So I've had a look down what I believe was the old railway line into the clearings where the carriages were loaded. I'm just gonna come up on top now, see if we can get any more views of some of the rock faces. We get a really good view up here of the plateau, which is at the top of the incline. So the incline's just there through the trees, and we've got those old drum plinths just out of view there to the right hand side, just behind that banking. And there's views into Grindleford in the distance there, and we've got Padley Gorge just below us down there. So there's a path just at the bottom that actually links up with the Padley Gorge path. site's actually a lot bigger than I thought. I didn't realise it was this vast. I've been up one side and come back down. I've come back down to the top of the incline, and I'm going up another way onto the top. So I've been looking around now for well over an hour and a half. Just so many nooks and crannies. It's only when you walk around you gotta kind of get a feeling for the scale of the amount of rock that was taken away. I mean, it's hard to imagine that a piece of rock that's missing from that overhang there is probably sat on one of those dam walls, holding back millions of gallons of water. So just behind this rock face in front of us, I can see another even larger rock face behind. I can see cows on top of there as well. So just over the top there would be where Owler Tor is. It's gone really dark all of a sudden. I can hear the thunder coming from over that way. Now we're expecting showers today, and I've come prepared with the coats and trousers and whatnot, but I don't plan on standing in the middle of a thunderstorm. So we'll see if we can find some rock or something that there's a good place to shelter. So that was Lawrencefield. Rock face, really popular with climbers. A couple of groups just setting up there. So we're still climbing. So quite high up now. Huge piles of millstones stacked up. A really stunning view down there. So we've got some of the most iconic Peak District peaks just in one frame there. So we got kind of Win Hill just on the right, and we've got sort of Loose Hill and the Great Ridge in the middle, and then Kinder Scout just towering above them all. So we're just coming up to the end of the quarry now. We've got the road just joining us on the right hand side. That's the Sheffield to Hathersage road. And we're coming out at a corner which is called Suprise View. So when they kind of started bringing in the heavy machinery to kind of expand this quarry, they brought in all the machinery from the road, so they had to kind of make a track to bring everything in. Obviously the railway up to the quarry from the bottom didn't exist then, and I'm not sure they could have kind of got all the cranes and heavy machinery up on that incline. Yeah, so all that came by road, and I suppose in them days that was no mean feat. So there's the view, Hathersage and the Railway line at the bottom, just going straight on. Yeah, so that was Bole Hill Quarry, really enchanting place. That was I've just spent over 2.5 hours walking around that old quarry, in and out of the old paths, up and down various routes. So really enjoyable, and the weather's held off, so that was a bonus. So I'll carry on that story of the Howden and Derwent Dams in a month or two. We'll go up and we'll have a look at the route, the old railway line up from Bamford up to where it finished at Howden Dam. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm going to wait till kind of the levels of the reservoir have dropped a bit more. So it's always a bit more interesting. So yeah, thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Come and have a look at this place. Don't forget to leave me a comment. Come say hi. Check out the Facebook page, and I'll see you again soon on another video. Thanks. Bye bye.